Welcome to What's Up in Jeju, where I visit places around the island and talk about what's happening with hashtag Daily K's host, Peter Bint.
Today, it's the last Tuesday of September. Can't quite believe that. I'm not ready for October now. You've said Halloween. That's actually my son's birthday as well. I'm not ready for that either. But the last Tuesday does mean Village Ventures. Yes. So you're going to guide us to one of the 172 that exist on Jeju Island. Last month, Hamdongri, I remember, the lovely beach there. It's tourist-friendly beachfront festivals as well. Where are we heading to today?
So we are headed to a spot both Jeo and I, we both love, Wollreong Village. It was once a quaint farming village, but now has seen a recent surge in popularity, and that means map time. Here we go. If you can see here, it is on the west. Island? There's the arrow, if you can see on the western side there. Kind of like the western corner a little bit.
Not too far from the airport. Well, how long would it take you roughly?
Oh, from the airport, that's still I would say at least, I don't know, around an hour-ish, depending on traffic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, This is a very small picture, Peter. You know, it's going to take longer. Yeah.
Yeah, but like getting from there towards Seogwipo, that's like an hour. But just across to the west side as well, you're talking a good hour depending on traffic.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, it depends, really. Because if you go all the way around the circumference of the island, I've driven from there to what is it, Halim, and that can take roughly an hour, depending on traffic.
Goodness.
Yeah,
you're right. Like everywhere in Jeju, it seems like a small island when you compare it to the mainland. But
by the way,
pretty much, I remember, takes you an hour.
And you mentioned it takes you an hour because you might be considering it'll take you an hour to go from Jeju-si to Seogwipo because you might be cutting through the island, right? But if you're going around the circumference of the island, that's definitely going to pack on some more time to your travels.
Lots of traffic lights as well, and lots of speed cameras. There's no way to avoid it.
Speed bumps.
It seems quite close to your village as well, of course, Andy. Is that one of the reasons you, number one, love it so much, and number two, chose it for convenience of filming?
No. But partly, yes, as far as distance, it's so close to my village of Gosanri. But I'll show you in the next two images why Jaewoe and I love it so much. That'll be in the first image. And the second image is what it's really known for. So let's take a look at the first image.
Oh, look at the fish.
Yay.
Is this you taking a photo underwater?
Yep, that's me taking a photo under the water. It is stock full of fish, snorkeling spot, free diving spot. These fantastic rock formations are right there. So all this wildlife really not too far away from the beach itself. So it's a great spot to snorkel. And if we look at the second image, that is what this village is really known for.
That's not underwater. This is above ground cactus.
That's right, cactus. So if you go to some tourist shops on the island or Jeju specialty stores, you may find some snacks flavored with baeknyeoncho, or prickly pear, from this cactus. Now, traditionally, Wollreong's crops included barley and garlic. Then the crop of prickly pear, as you can see, became quite popular for a time. You know, you'll find maybe cookies or even chocolate flavored with prickly pear. Now, the village focuses more on winter crops like cabbage and broccoli these days.
Wow, so baeknyeoncho, prickly pear. I don't think I've eaten that. I mean, can you eat the thing itself, like the fruit itself?
Yeah, I think even in the Jungle Book, Baloo talks about, prickly pears, right? He pops them in his mouth. I personally haven't had it, but maybe I should try that out.
Yeah, I think I've seen the snacks from it, but never actually tried the fruit. So Wollreong Village was traditionally a farming village, but it's become quite popular. Is that due to the snorkeling or due to the prickly pear?
That's a really good question. So, in fact, it was struggling a bit until the 1990s, but with the Ole Trail Route 14, the hiking trail that goes right through the village, it's become very popular, and the recent spotlight of Wollreong Beach, hence the amazing sands. And also, I've taken drone shots before in a previous episode of this beach with the fish as well. A lot more visitors come and they check out the village, and also residents too, like Jaewoe and I.
Oh, great. So as part of Village Ventures, we always get to sit down with some VVIP from the city, or I should say the village. Who are we meeting today from Wollreong-ri?
Right, so all this information I just provided is thanks to the man himself, Village Chief Kang Han-chul. Now, if you remember, the village chief is the elected official by the village who essentially serves as a mayor.
We've got Alex Segrist on board, the legendary, who's appeared on some of your videos as well, Mark, as well as been a guest on our show. The prickly pear chocolates are great, he says. And yeah, I've had those. I think they're the ones that are like pinky purple, right? Inside, right. Don't they colour them that way? Is that because the fruit is that colour?
Yes, so the fruit is that color. Who knows if there's any artificial coloring put into the chocolate, but the fruit itself is that color, yes.
Sunflower also say, my mum grew up in Arizona and ate the cactus fruit all the time. Sherry says, prickly pears sound absolutely delicious. Alex is going to be heading back to Korea at the end of the year, so we'll have to try and get him on either one of your videos or in the studio as well.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Looking forward to that. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we could make him eat prickly pears with the prickles on or something like that. That sounds fun. Okie dokie. Let's get back to Village Ventures. We're exploring Wollreong-ri. When I first heard that, it reminded me of Wollreong-ri, but that's completely a different place with a really big beach and the cafes. That's like kind of northeastern, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
that's lovely. This place I've never heard of, but looking at your like drone shots, it looks so beautiful, but yeah, quite small and compact. So the issues really could be coming to the fore with more people traveling. I don't know if we should be shining a spotlight on this place, Mark.
Oh my goodness. Okay, all right, redacted. We're episode closed. No, the thing is,
don't go here.
Yeah, I mean, as Village Chief Kang said, if they could get some parking, but be respectful. This is a village. There are residents. These are OG Jeju villagers here. The roads are quite narrow, so please, be mindful. Many of you, if you're traveling, you're probably renting a car, so just please be mindful and use your sense and clean up after yourself. And people are really also just on their bikes, using their little carts on the narrow roads, so please watch yourself.
Yeah, as long as everyone's considerate, right? I think we can get by no matter how crowded a place gets. So we talked about the cactus, the fruit just now as well, but I was always a bit confused because, I've seen a lot of it in the airport duty-free, just like the halabong and the halabong-related goods. So I was wondering, is it native to here? I don't know. How did it end up in the village?
So this is really fascinating, and I'm really glad that Sunflower Sky, she talked about, eating prickly pear from the States. So according to Chief Kang and official online sources, these cacti theoretically traveled via ocean current from the Gulf of Mexico, Texas, right? All the southern states. Some of these cacti species are native to the States and even the Latin Americas, Central Americas, and they're actually desert cactus, but they grow wild here all over the village. So, when does a species become native? That's somebody you'd have to ask a scientist, but this is all theoretical. These cacti traveled via ocean current from the Gulf of Mexico. That's wild.
Wow, so it's thought to be completely a natural thing, not human intervention or anything like that. They just floated on over and grew wild. That's crazy. But why are the cacti growing prevalent on this section of the island? They're not all over the place, right?
Well, you do find cacti sprinkled throughout the island. That is something that you'll notice, but it's definitely prevalent here in Wollreong Village. And it's a great question. So it's said that these villagers, they discovered these cacti and they started planting them along the rock walls. So you have the rock walls of Jeju. They plant them on top of these rock walls to prevent mice and snakes from getting into their properties and crops. And I'll say, definitely, if you walk along these narrow village roads, you'll see these big thorn cacti lined up on the top of the rock walls, much like kind of like how barbed wire works on a fence. And you can see it on our next image. So let's take a look at the image number 2 here.
That looks way nicer than barbed wire, but still would surely sting if you tried to climb over it.
So that's just like a tiny little singular patch right there. But other rock walls, it's down the entire, and it's really thick, down the entire rock wall. Yeah.
Wow, that's a nice alternative to intimidating barbed wire, I've got to say.
Yeah.
I do feel a little sorry for the mice and snakes who get caught on that. So we're with Village Chief Kang Han-chul. We've talked about this before, but almost all elected village chiefs are from that village. They've got their childhood memories. Is that the same for Chief Kang?
That's right. Now, if you remember, many village chiefs and fisheries heads that we've talked to in the past, actually, they take some time out of the village as part of their lives, maybe for travel or maybe study or something like that. But Chief Kang, with the exception of military, he's been in the village pretty much for most of his life.
Now, I understand, Mark, that there's a historical figure from Wollreong Village that you'd like to talk about. Very poignant today.
That is correct. Let's take a look at our final image. And Peter, could you please describe it for us?
Wow. So it's a grandmother who has a big cotton bandage around her whole head. So you can see her eyes and her nose and the top lip, but then the rest, it almost looks like she's wearing a balaclava of sorts.
Yeah. So this is Jin A-young. She's known as the cotton cloth grandmother, as indicated by your description of her portrait. You see, the reason for the cotton fabric is to cover a severe injury she sustained during the Jeju April 3rd incident. For those unaware, the Jeju April 3rd incident, or uprising or massacre that went from 1948 to 49, was a violent suppression of local protests against government policies, resulting in mass civilian casualties by South Korean forces. And so in January 1949, at the age of 35, counterinsurgency forces attacked her then home village of Panpo, and she tried to flee, but gunfire struck her, resulting in the loss in the lower half of her jaw.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Oh, so that's why she's got that to cover that injury. She then moved to the village of Wollreong-ri after that?
That's right. After her parents passed, she moved to Wollreong, and sadly, because of her injury, she couldn't eat properly, leading to various health issues. She lost her ability to speak and even avoided others, as she didn't want them to consider her unsightly, which, by the way, the villagers never did. They did all they could to support her, but the pain and trauma still remained throughout her life. She even locked her doors with lock and key, just with the old padlock. An official governmental apology came in 2003, and she passed away in 2004, which is quite recent.
Goodness gracious, a living reminder of that awful bit of Jeju history.
Yes.
So is her house still there in the village?
Yes, it is, and it was recently renovated. In fact, it's open to the public, where visitors can enter to see memorabilia and pay their respects.
Yeah, thinking about that suffering she must have gone through, having to, in her eyes, feel like she had to just lock herself away like that, alone in that small house. And Tigrish says, she received an apology, but I wonder how much it meant to her. And in 2003, so long after the incident.
Know. Yes, that is very true. These are all very good points, for sure.
Yeah, and there are many places in Jeju where you can find out more about the 4-3 incident, right? A lot of the time, in even more modern Korean times, it was kind of swept under the carpet, and there wasn't enough recognition of what happened and apologies forthcoming. But now I think the tide has certainly changed in that respect.
Yeah, as you said, there are sites, there are museums, but this, I think, when I was there, it was I became quite emotional because it's so personal. It's just, you hear about the numbers of the catastrophic numbers of casualties, but this narrows it down to one person who was not killed from the incident, but still, had to live with the trauma and this horrendous injury throughout her whole life. So it struck a very different chord with me.
Yeah, a living reminder, permanently scarred, like literally from that event as well. And, as human beings, there's that phenomenon. If you say 10,000 people died in this, that, or the other, you're really desensitized to it. But if it's one person's story, it feels so much more closer to home. Mark, thank you very much for the beautiful shots, the poignant story as well. We'll look forward to what you've got in store for us next Tuesday.
It's my pleasure, Peter. I'll see you then. What's Up in Jeju is supported by the JDC, which is creating a free international city that resembles nature, embraces the future, and reaches the world. I'm Mark Wilson Che, with writer Chae Jung-yoon. This is Arirang Radio.